Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we are starting Star Wars The Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition. It doesn't actually say that on in the game anywhere, but it is that edition for PC. And it also kind of doesn't say any of the video settings or anything, because that too is through its own launcher. So when you first start the game, it asks you the resolution. We're running at 1080p. This is a pretty old game, so no other real settings, at least not here. Maybe once we get into the game. So let's just hop into it and begin. I'm going to start a new game right here and overwrite my previous one. And so the Ultimate Sith Edition, I believe, is these extra campaigns. But let's play the main game first, of course. And honestly, I think I want to play Apprentice. There's no achievements on Steam for any of this, so it's not that big of a deal. On top of that, this game is also kind of a little bit grindy in the enemies you fight, so if they had a little bit less health, from what I played for about an hour, I think that would be appreciable. And we start the same way most Star Wars start. So this game came out well before The Force Awakens Episode 7, and it proposes this new character, Darth Vader's apprentice, who is supposedly supposed to be a much stronger Force user than anything we had kind of seen up to the point of this game. And it gets more into something like the Matrix style of powers. And it's not just that you have the Force, therefore you have a lightsaber and you can move things with your mind, and you can use Force Lightning if you're very, very adept with the Force powers. It's gonna be way more powerful. In fact, there's a great little video that plays on the menu that shows you all the things you can expect that look really cool in this game. Unfortunately, it also kind of spoils everything. And we start with the text scroll, and inherently any of these text scrolls I don't actually read, but I knew the gist of it. The Emperor has Darth Vader hunting down the remaining Jedi. This is, I believe, Order 66, execute all the Jedi, being implemented by the Empire and Darth Vader. The graphics for this game when it came out looked awesome. Nowadays they're not the greatest. This is pretty old series, and it's a shame that Vader's Apprentice, kind of much in the same way that the Star Wars books have been taken from the convention, this too had two games, The Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed 2, and then it got kind of forgotten about. This is, however, quite groundbreaking for a video game during this time to be able to add to the canon, because this was canonical for a while at least, and that really hadn't happened too much before. We were getting a close-up of Darth Vader's uniform, very rubbery neck on his mask. Little shiny helmet, glossy, and he's just walking as all the people
Lord Vader,
around him are
we were
being
ambushed upon arrival, but I have the situation well in...
I have no interest in your failures, Commander. I am here on a mission of my own.
So he just force chokes him without even really lifting his hand. And so we start the game, and we get the abilities here in the form of a tutorial mission, and we can walk around and play as Darth Vader. Now there is one little problem, I would say, with Darth Vader, and we've got the Star Wars music playing in the background. I'm gonna keep it pretty low because this music gets content ID'd, particularly now that Disney owns uh, George Lucas and all of that. So, well, he doesn't. They don't own the person George Lucas, but they own the Star Wars franchise. So, uh, you can imagine it. You have a couple things you can charge a force push with by holding down B. It slows down time and goes into chroma key, and then do this. And that's a pretty massive force push that you really hadn't seen up to this point. So notice they're shooting at me, and it doesn't even matter. Without pressing any button, the blaster shots get reflected automatically to me. There is some destructible environment of a little bit. Well, I thought, yes, there. And then we can force push the rocks, or we can just tap B and do quick force pushes. And you can see we're getting green life back. And there's several things you can do. For instance, I locked on him and then pressed B to shoot this Chewbacca character. I guess that's who this is. I don't think if it in the story they ever really explained whether the other Chewbacca characters existed or where. It probably happened in some of the books and things. And knock him right off. And so, of course, playing as Darth Vader, you're about as strong as you could possibly be. And there's several other buttons. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what they are. Yes, it's a slightly odd combination of controls because you have to use left trigger, and here's a stormtrooper who are my own guy, and then I can do this and just throw and press the X button to use that. Again, whenever they shoot, here's some new guys. We can do this and hold this to do a force blast. These are cool looking characters with their blades. And then, of course, I can break things in one hit, which is kind of what you would expect. Although I wouldn't be surprised if you chose a more difficult level that you would actually let's see, if I hold this and then do this, nothing happens. There's a couple more abilities we're gonna get throughout playing, but the one thing about this game you can already start to see the beginning of is there's a lot of walking down hallways. This is an open air hallway as far as the video game is concerned, and look at that blast. Of course, now there's things in the way, so I have to wait for it to disappear, which isn't too long. And that was pretty high particle damage in the day. Now, if you use the right trigger, you can hover things up and throw them, rocks or people. But this is really, let's see, just throw these guys. And see, the weird thing is that I've heard, and I'm not an expert in Star Wars or anything, I've heard that in the first movie that was ever released, Episode 4, Darth Vader really wasn't even in charge of the Empire. I mean, he's never actually in charge of the Empire, the Emperor is, but he wasn't even higher up than some of the generals and the hats. And here we are going up an interesting elevator that you wouldn't think that a society that lives in the trees would have an elevator technology, but I guess they just choose to. live in the trees. Now there's no holding down X or tagging multiple people, which seems like a miss as far as of abilities, but honestly, before this game, the only Star Wars games I'd ever even seen were X-Wing versus TIE Fighter flight simulator style games. And those, at least at the time and kind of even now, don't hugely interest me. And when I saw this first announced, I thought, wow, there's something I could actually sink my teeth in. Not because I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm a fan of an interesting action platforming style of game. I'm not even sure if you'd really call this a platforming game, though, because I don't think you actually do too much jumping. You can see Darth Vader here can jump, but it's not the double jump that you would expect if you were actually like a platforming game, nor is it particularly the most accurate of jumping, or like I don't feel like I have a tight enough control of where he would land so that I could do something like that when I land. And how I had to do that certainly isn't the right move. I'd much rather jump up and hit X, and see, that's still not that much. And so it's kind of a very, very long intro here. There's still more, and they could have stopped about halfway through here, because they're having us play as Darth Vader just because they want you to be able to play as Darth Vader in the game, because he's not the main character, and we're going to stop playing as him pretty soon. These guys can jump, and you can see if I stand here, they are kind of hurting me at the top left, but I'm gaining health just by random characters dying. And see, if I kill this guy at Apprentice level, you're perfectly fine. I may very well turn up the audio once we've gotten out of this section and they're done playing this. This area certainly seems rife with collectible potentials. Well, collectible potentials, but there's nothing here. And the top left, the blue is your force power that you have to charge up. Wow, there really is nothing here. There are collectibles in this game, I just don't think there are any in this sequence. I also have to be careful not to hit buttons when the cutscenes come on, because there's a chance that will skip the video, and that would be a mistake. So those two stormtroopers, for just the cutscene, showed up behind him. Alright, so this is the next point of the tutorial. So the previous 13 minutes, we learned a few moves, but most of that was just walking and fighting people. You could have easily done some editing there. This isn't particularly a long game anyways, so I can see why they didn't, but yeah. So we're fighting a rogue Jedi. We need to hit A, then tap X for a quick time event. And then he just chokes them. We can go ahead and do this. We don't actually have to charge. You can not do this. I can do this fast. Or I can charge up and then do this. Well, no, actually I have to left trigger, then charge up and do this. And you can see we're not doing a lot of damage here. Now here's a terrible design, is they've got it where he pulls down a TIE fighter on us, a TIE fighter or two, and there's a tree in the way. Just bad tree placement. So you can see at the top right, his life is not refilling or anything, and he's trying to do several attacks on me, the similar attacks that we've seen, throwing the lightsaber, using the force push, using burst. He's now at the red line, and he's invincible, I would assume, during that time. And if I was directly in the path of the TIE fighter, maybe it would hurt me. However, at the Apprentice level, it might actually be so easy that it's not even an entertaining fight. I would be willing to say that. So he's almost dead. So I just want to get him with like one more hit. And then I have to come over here and hit X. And then force choke with the B, but be careful not to hit any more buttons. B. And throw him against the tree. And you can see there's a lot of actions going on here that we're not seeing implemented actually in the game engine. One thing I could say about this game, look, the audio in the videos is way different too. Sorry about that. Can't adjust that, I don't
Said
think.
someone far more powerful nearby. Where is your master?
The dark side has clouded your mind. You killed my master years ago.
Then now you will share his fate.
He took the lightsaber from Darth
son.
Vader, which shows he's really powerful.
Lord Vader.
Come with me. More will be here soon. You were weak when I found you. Now your hatred has become your strength. At last, the dark side is your ally. Rise, my apprentice.
What is your will, my master?
Your training is nearly complete. It is time to face your first true test.
Your spies have located a Jedi?
Yes, Master Ram Kota. He is attacking a critical Imperial shipyard. Destroy him and bring me his lightsaber.
I shall leave at once, master.
The Emperor cannot discover you. Leave no witnesses. Kill everyone aboard, Imperials and Kota's men alike.
As you wish, my master.
So he's raised a secret apprentice here that the Emperor doesn't know about.
Ah, Master! Another excellent duel!
Oh, Proxy, you did catch me by surprise. I haven't fought that training program in years. I thought you'd erased it.
I'd hoped that using an older training module would catch you off guard and allow me to finally kill you. I'm sorry I failed you again.
Well, I'm sure you'll keep trying. Yeah, but do me a favor. Don't ambush me anytime.
Proxy!
Yes, why are we whispering?
Shh, who's that?
Ah, yes. Your new pilot has finally arrived, Master. Accessing Imperial records.
Captain Juno Eclipse, born on Coralag, where she became the youngest student ever accepted into the Imperial Academy. Decorated combat pilot with over 100 combat missions, and commanding officer during the bombing of Kalos. Hand-picked by Lord Vader to lead his Black 5 squadron, but later reassigned to a top-secret mission. Is there a psychological profile in there too?
Actually, yes. But it's restricted. Oh, Master, I can tell you she's going to be impossible to reprogram.
Do you know why you're here?
Yes. My orders are clear. I'm to keep your ship running and fly you wherever your missions require.
Did Vader tell you that he killed our last pilot?
No. But I can only assume that he gave Lord Vader good reason to do so. I will not.
Well, let's hope so. I'm sick of training new pilots. What have you done to my ship?
I've taken the liberty of upgrading the Rogue Shadow sensor array. Now you'll be able to spy on any suspect ships within the entire system. You are one of Vader's spies.
You don't need to know anything about my missions except where I'm going. Now I need to jump to Nar Shaddaa. Can you handle that?
Of course.
So, kind of cheesy, kind of cliche to immediately throw in the love interest with a character we've just met. It's kind of weird it's loading too, considering how old this game is and then how fast my SSD is. So, immediately, as soon as we're introduced to this character, we're back to some tutorial missions. Welcome aboard the Rogue Shadow Master. I have recently installed the training room on board for your personal use here. You can practice using the force powers and combat techniques through various instructional and combat training modules. At Lord Vader's request, all modules are also programmed to try and kill you, just like me. So, everything is programmed by Darth Vader to try and kill him, to push him to his first limits. But it is interesting to point out that part of what turned Anakin Skywalker, spoiler alert, into Darth Vader was that he killed kids. And so he did definitely take a twist there to actually save a child. But see, you can clearly see that it's only for his benefit to try to probably overthrow the Emperor. Grip one of your core force powers. Grip is one of your core force powers. Try and pick up an object. Use grip with the right trigger. Well, see, the weird thing here is we've been doing it. Use the left stick to move it up. And you cannot move while concentrating in this manner. Now use the right stick to move it up and down, left and right. So that's an interesting control in itself. Now prove your mastery of grip by using it to smash through these glass panels. Oh, I can't throw it, so I actually have to make it fly. And see, that doesn't even feel very Star Warsy. You can also grip to pick up a throw-in object. Press and hold right trigger to grip an object, then point in a direction and release with the right trigger. Oh, you can, though. Now demonstrate your newfound powers by gripping and throwing these objects to knock over these three frightened stormtroopers standing in front of you. I don't honestly feel like it's a good life to work for the Empire. Particularly Darth Vader. I imagine if you're just some grunt somewhere and you never deal with the real bad guys, you may not have too much trouble. Well done. You've completed this training module, so we can hit A to quit, or Y to restart. Like, who would really need to restart? So that's another few minutes of tutorial before we actually get into the real first level.
Proxy, give me the target.
According to Imperial records, Master Ram Kota was a respected general in the Clone Wars.
You're hunting Jedi.
I bring Darth Vader's enemies to justice. Now so do you.
Master Kota was a military genius, but felt that clone soldiers were unfit for battle. Instead, he relied on his own militia.
So there were no clones in his squad when Order 66 was issued?
And after Order 66, he vanished. Official Imperial records actually claim he's dead.
Why come out of hiding and attack the Empire now?
He wants to be found.
Then we're walking into a trap. How many pilots have you lost before me?
7.
Excellent. Coordinates for Nar Shaddaa are locked. Prepare for light speed.
Light speed? I thought it was hyperspeed in the Star Wars
Lock down the
universe.
command center and get that hologram projector up and running.
Yes, sir.
Tell all squads to fan out and funnel any opposition towards us. Explosive charges on levels 2, 5, and 12, just like we planned.
General Coda. He's here.
I've finally drawn you out of hiding. Lower the containment field on Hangar 12 and tell the men to get into position.
Yes, General.
Also, some Did he just jump in through a tube? Is this how you get into places? So, Darth Vader's apprentice also was the first Jedi ever to hold the lightsaber backwards. That's kind of cool. Frankly, it's probably cooler than the lightsaber they did in Episode 7. In a lot of ways, you might make the argument that the character in Episode 7, who's the bad guy, versus this guy is the bad guy, this guy might be cooler. And so we've got some hallways to run down. And we've got some audio I think we can adjust now. So let's go through this and turn it up a little bit. Let's see. Of the other things, we could turn up the difficulty if it was necessary. We do have subtitles on, controller, and all of that, target lock, grip mode, but nothing else. So let's double the audio and see how that works for us. And of course we could go back to the training room or mission select or even save the game. Let's go ahead and save. Save select. Save successful. Yeah. And that sounds a little bit better. And we are right here ready to start the actual first level. But we are also done with this recording. So that's going to be it for this recording. We'll start right back here next time. As always, I end my episodes the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications. Comment and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Links to things like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, and Battle.net. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.